I'm usually pretty good at interpreting dreams. I have no idea what the fuck that means.
I know what it means. Too strong a bifter, too much river monsters. I think that was what it was.
Hello and welcome to Talk Spooky to Me, the Ghost Story Guys mail show. I'm Brennan Storr.
I'm Paul Bestel.
And this is our opportunity to hear from you, our audience. Paul Bestel, my friend, how you doing?
I'm doing very well. I'm having one of those weird euphoric mental days where I feel like I've ingested 87 grams of PCP.
I'm glad one of us is having a good day because today it's been garbage for me. So I am glad that one of us is doing well.
Yeah, I'm all right. I think it's because I've obviously survived September, and I thought the best way to do it was to continually keep interviewing people. As I was up at 1 a.m. this morning to interview Tobias Wayland and Richard Estep about their new Mothman book.
We both knew you weren't going to stop in October. You told me that at the beginning of the month. I just got to get it October, and it'll be smooth sailing. And I thought, sure, Jan.
Yeah, and I've still not got tickets for Good Boy yet.
Well, I'm ahead of you there. I'm going to see it on Friday at the Highland here in London.
Yeah, they had the premiere last night. Did you see it? And everybody brought their dogs.
I didn't, but I love that.
And they're all like doing pretend interviews with them.
Honestly, better than most entertainment journalism now, anyways.
Yes, I did. And I have been chuckling the fact that Shudder have basically had to come out and say nothing happens to the dog. Because they've had so many people going, if you do anything to that dog, I'm cancelling my subscription. I'm never watching anything you do again. I hate you. So they've had to come out and say, right, it's a scary film, but the dog's okay. And so people go, oh, that's all right then.
Yeah, exactly. Honestly, there's a scene in that new Conjuring movie where a dog gets hurt, and I thought, oof, bold choice, Conjuring filmmakers, bold choice.
Amazingly, isn't it, that you don't think there could be anything else that could make you think less of the Warrens.
And yet, they found a way.
They always manage to find a way. Good for them. There is no bottom to the barrel they will not scrape and smash through. Good for them.
Our hat is off to you. Well, I got to tell you, Paul, I am furious right now. And not for the reasons I was describing off air. I'm furious for other reasons. Because I bought myself a lovely new zip-up sweater from a company here in Canada that makes recycled stuff. It's called Anayan. I splurged on it. I needed a new overshirt, something that's not quite as heavy as my big winter jacket, but is warm enough to kind of, keep me toasty when I step outside.
Yep.
And it arrived 3 weeks ago. I haven't been able to wear the fucking thing once. It's still too hot. What is going on? I still have to keep my air conditioners on. This is hell. We're living in hell.
Have you thought about stealing a plane and seeding some clowns?
Well, I keep trying to text the guys at HARP, but they're just not returning my calls.
They're too busy turning people gay. That's the problem.
That's right.
I've seen that special rays. Have you seen them? Occasionally you'll see them in the sky. It's like lots of colours in and out.
They keep trying to zap me with it. They haven't got me yet.
Yeah. You've got to watch them. They say HARP aren't doing that, but I've seen it in the skies. I've seen those multicoloured beams of light travelling through the sky, turning people gay.
100%. No, we are on to you, HARP.
Yeah.
So
my next news.
Well, my next call is to the Illuminati to ask them to at least turn off the 5G in my neighborhood so it'll cool down a little bit. Paul, I'm just, as I say this shit, I'm thinking someone's going to believe it. So we should probably just stop, because at this point it's not impossible. Like, there's probably a dozen paranormal podcasts out there saying exactly the same shit, but they're serious. Mm-hmm. And so, no, if you're new to the show, we're kidding. Oh God, we're kidding. I mean, it's too fucking hot. I'm serious about that. I want to wear my goddamn nice sweater.
Yes.
But anyways, we are not here to complain about the Illuminati controlling the weather, although by God we should. We are in fact here to answer listener mail.
Our courteous and efficient staff is on call 24 hours a day to serve all your supernatural elimination needs.
We're ready to believe you.
All right, so first up, we have a message from our patron CT, referring to our comments from episode 223, Supernatural British Columbia. CT says, Paul doesn't like windows facing woods/forest? Dude, I helicopter my junk to amuse and entertain any cryptids that care to watch the show. That's why we love you, CT.
Looks like the Loveland Frogman, only smaller. That's what Bigfoot told me, CT. I wasn't there, mate. I can't comment.
That's it. We don't make the news, man. We just report it.
Let's raise this level. A meme on YouTube says, "Oh my God, I got an ad. A very annoying AI-created ad. But this is the first one I've seen on your videos. Does this mean you're going to be making those big YouTube bucks now? Brennan, are you the new Mr. Beast?"
I mean, I've locked myself inside for long periods of time, but there's no cash prize at the end of it. No, Amy, we've been monetized. I'm annoyed as fuck actually that you've only just now got an ad, because we've been monetized on YouTube for a long time. And as far as the big money goes, what can I say? That sweet $100 check every 4 months really helps.
It makes the world of difference.
Yes, we'll say that. It's I mean, it all helps. But yeah, no, we've been monetized on YouTube for a long time. It was actually Joseph who helped turn around the YouTube account. But it is funny that you're only just seeing ads now, because like I said, I've had them turned on, or they've been turned on for 3 years now, I think, something like that. I'm annoyed that you're getting AI shit, but I'm not surprised. We have zero control over that. With a podcast, like when you download it, we have control over that. I mean, sometimes people lie and sneak through, but no, with YouTube, you get zero control.
Yes.
I got to say, Paul, I'm annoyed that I have to live in a world where I have to just interface with YouTube at all. I just find it like there's a lot of useful shit on there, but it annoys the shit out of me. And when I see some of the shows on there and these people who just kind of build their whole thing around being wacky on YouTube, I feel kind of hollow inside. It's not even a joke. I just kind of feel sad.
Yeah. What I think the best thing to do with that is I fell down a rabbit hole the other day when I was ill, and I watched a whole Instagram account of pranksters getting their heads kicked in, and it was brilliant.
Okay.
I really enjoyed it. So more of that, please, internet. I like seeing pranksters really getting put in their place. Brilliant. You know, like guys walking into areas and just trying to pick fights with people, and then after they've just had their teeth knocked out, going, "It's a plank," as they spit blood on the street.
That's not a prank. That's just playing chicken with the devil.
Oh, absolutely. This is the thing. I think people seem to think the word "it's a prank" absolutely will just kill any potential life-threatening situation, and I'm glad to say it doesn't.
Man, it's like these jackass comedians where it's a joke. It's a joke. Well, it wasn't funny, man. So get off the stage. Go for a dip in the river.
Yeah, and usually they're always punching down, or they're just being dicks.
Oh yeah. And none of these fucking free speech titans are saying shit right now. So don't give me that nonsense that it was ever about your rights.
Absolutely. So that helps. But yeah, it is a frustration. I mean, it can't just be me that whenever I interact with anything online, this algorithm decides, you like this, you must like this. No, I don't. I fucking hate that, actually. In fact, I'm going to find out who you are, and I'm going to come to your house, and I'm going to wee through your letterbox. For what you've just done to me there. Algorithm thing, whatever you are.
All right. So yes, Amy, thank you for the heads up on the ads, and yeah, that's been there for a long time. So I'm happy that you've avoided them. Quite honestly, I hate having ads in the show at all. But this is the broken and diseased world we live in. So just don't buy their garbage. Turn away from the screen. Skip through it. Fuck them. We'll cash the checks every 4 months, and you can live your life in peace. All right. Next up comes from Foxtrot Tango. Foxtrot Tango says, "In Kids Say the Most Terrifying Things, I can't agree more with you about AI. Besides the environmental issues, the loss of creativity, if all the truck stops in the US look the same, how will people think for themselves? If the people who own and run tech companies won't let their children use their products, what does that say? All the little differences of places and the reasons for that are being lost. But like you say, it's unlikely we will willingly go back. On the environmental thing, if one is concerned, my challenge is to start with saving 5% on usage, ideally using energy units. Sorry for the soapbox, but in 15 years, I've cut my use by about 70%. One thing I would disagree with you about is saying that someone who has shitty behavior is shit. I wish people could ask, why do you think that? If we don't ask, how are we going to shift things? If everyone thinks the other person has got their head where the sun don't shine, people will be happily angry with the other group. That sounds like a lousy thing. No one wants to hear that they suck. I do enjoy the feeling of hanging out with the two of you. And I don't have to go anywhere. Thank you, Foxtrot Tango. And look, I agree to a point. I think you have to approach people as they are. But the problem I actually had this earlier today because someone made a moronic comment on YouTube that I noticed. And it was a different one than the one you and I were talking about. And my first thought was, I want to cave this person's head into a pipe. And like, this is not a productive thought. This is just raising my blood pressure. And okay, that's fair. But yeah, this is the problem. I don't think you can convince anyone of anything on the internet. I just don't think it works like that. And I mean, research shows that you just can't. You know, like most people are not going to be convinced by arguments because they're just there to dunk or say mean shit. But I do agree. Like we eventually we got to live with each other, right? Like no matter what happens, we got to live with each other. And if you tell someone that your behavior is shit and you're out of the group permanently, then they have no reason to ever want to work with you. And I know some people are not going to like hearing that, but it's true. And now this doesn't excuse behavior. I'm not saying someone does something shitty and then you welcome right back in, go, hey, bro, there's a chair. Like they have to go through a process. And the people they've specifically hurt are not expected to hang out with them. Like if someone's done violence against you, I don't then expect you to be like, okay, now he said it's okay, you have to hang out with him. Like, no, that's bullshit. That's nonsense. But at some point, people who say stupid things and say shitty things, if they repent, if they, I mean, I'm Catholic, I got to use the language. But if they repent, if they go, hey man, you're right, I was wrong. I'm really sorry. I fucked up. Then yeah, they have to, I think we have to let them back in because otherwise the whole thing's just going to keep repeating. What do you think?
Well, you've got to wait for them to come out of hospital first before you accept their forgiveness.
That's fair. Yeah, that's fair.
And well, I suppose it depends. Depends what they've done and how they've acted, really. I think some things are beyond the pale.
Oh, yeah, 100%. But honestly, I think those people, the people who are doing beyond the pale shit, are the ones who are never going to come around.
Well, exactly. Nobody's perfect. Everybody makes mistakes. Sometimes we say things in the heat of the moment. I know I certainly do sometimes. And then you have a hard look at yourself and you think, yeah, I was a bit shitty there. Says, oh my goodness, Paul and Brennan. Thank you still and again for your content and insight into the supernatural, paranormal and life in general. I had to reach out to say how giddy I was that The Abyss was your musical feature the other week. When you had it featured years ago, I fell in love, but eventually lost track of it on my Spotify and couldn't remember for the life of me what it was called. I tried sifting through old episodes to find it with no luck, until a few weeks ago when you brought him up again. Woohoo! Also, to add something a little spookier, it was my 6-year-old nephew's birthday the other day, and to his and his 3-year-old brother's surprise, there were jelly beans inside Lego houses they'd built. They can't reach the jelly beans, and it wasn't his parents. A little fun visit from a spirit with a sweet tooth? Needless to say, my sister, his mum, is spooked and keeps dreaming of an old woman wandering around her living room and coming into her bedroom. Sucks to be her, lol. Thanks again, Neon. P.S. Oh, God. I picked up a copy of Marabou Stalk Nightmares after hearing you guys talk about it. Not finished it yet, but I went from reading a romantic fantasy to that. A bit of a contrast. Well, I think that's the understatement of the year, Neon. Let me know when you finished it and tell me your thoughts. Because I can tell you what I thought when I finished that book. I need a drink.
I keep thinking about reading it ever since you brought it up. I haven't worked myself up to it yet.
It's tough. It's hard. It's bloody good. Like I say, I think it's Irving Welsh's best book, but that's just my opinion personally.
Well, thank you, Neon. If you liked The Abyss, or as you obviously do, check out Hogan's Ghost. It's a new project that Steve's just put out. It's sort of his companion to The Abyss. I haven't listened to it myself yet. He just sent it or just posted about it on Facebook. But I think he's trying something a little bit different. So he's releasing it under a slightly different name. But Hogan's Ghost, streaming on all the places. That's kind of cute about the jelly beans.
That's a nice thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's nice.
I'm not sure what the dream refers to. Just because she looks like a strange old woman doesn't mean she's an evil old woman. She might be a very nice old woman.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, this may just be a way for something living in the home or to sort of commune with her. And I mean, it's always strange when someone you don't know is talking to you, especially, in a familiar place. So, I mean, that alone could explain the sort of the feeling of menace. It's just the sheer incongruity of it all.
Yeah. Or maybe she's just dropping jelly beans down her throat while she's asleep.
God, why can't I have that kind of ghost? If I could figure out sleep eating, Paul, man, I would have it made.
Well, there are people that do have that, isn't there? It's one of those weird things.
I'll never forget one night we were over in Vancouver with some friends, and back in the days when you had to still share 2 beds in a room before we could, afford two separate rooms for the couples. And one of the friends, we got for Tim Hortons the night before, and one of our friends said I'm telling you, they knew Nikki was awake because they heard at like 3-4 in the morning, they heard like scratch, and they thought it was a mouse. And then they realized it was Nikki reaching one arm out from underneath the covers and grabbing Timbits and just pulling them under the covers to eat them.
I had a friend of mine once, and he said one day his partner woke up and she said, I feel dreadful. I feel terrible. And she was like this for about an hour. And then after about an hour, my mate was watching and she got up. She said, right, I'm going to get in a shower. And then as she undressed, she got his nicotine patch stuck to her arse. And it was that made her feel it because she'd never smoked.
Oh God, that would do it. Jesus Christ.
Nicotine patch on her bum.
Oh man.
So yeah, be careful.
You never know where you're going to find life's nicotine patches.
Or how strong they are.
When I found out that nicotine was good for focus, I briefly considered chewing nicotine gum. I thought, no, this is a step too far.
Get on the snoosh.
No, I tried that shit once. Never again.
Well, I take one if I'm flying anywhere longer than 3 hours.
Oh, no, wait. Now, snooze is that the little pouch that goes in your lip?
Yes.
Or is that okay, not the stuff
Not
you
snuff.
snort?
Not snuff.
Okay, snuff I have tried. Snuff is bad.
Yeah. But snooze is like basically it's like a little nicotine tea bag you stick in your gum.
Right. Yeah.
And I can only get the weak ones. Certain strengths gives me hiccups.
Oh, interesting.
It's weird, isn't it?
That is weird. Okay. Well, don't do any of these things, folks. Do not recreationally use nicotine for focus or for managing on a plane unless it's, advised by a physician or someone who gets stoned a lot and kind of knows these things. All right. So next up is from Sarah. Sarah says, okay, Brennan Paul, I'm catching up on episodes and patron content, and I'm on episode 219, The Toronto Redux. I just had to message in responding to the Airbnb/housing market tangent. My partner and I bought a house in January, and while I love a lot of things about it, buying this specific home was definitely, a mistake. The one thing this neighborhood has going for it is there isn't an Airbnb in sight. Every house on the block is lived in by the property owner. We're in the middle of nowhere, Virginia, the only queer and non-Trump supporter for miles, and anyone looking for an Airbnb experience out here has lost their marbles. But my main point, you said the condos next to you were being rented for $3,800 a month, which is insane, but reminded me of our house. And in London, a flat being £3,200 a month, our mortgage is $2,000, and that is tough enough for us to keep up with right now. The folks we bought the house from paid $125,000 in 2017. They then proceeded to run the house, 2 acres and outbuildings into the ground, and sold it to us for $275 this year, which is still generally cheap for a house in the US, I suppose. We are the butt of this joke because we've already put in $80K worth of work and we're in some crazy debt over it just to get this house to be livable. Sarah goes on to describe the many issues that the house has, which sound terrible, and she finishes by saying, my advice to you, don't buy a house. It's just not worth it. Thanks for reminding me that Clamato Juice exists. I hate it. Excited to watch the downfall of Airbnb, even though it coincides with the collapse of the U.S. government. There's a lot going on there.
Yep. And good for them.
I got to say, I've owned a house, and then I sold it. It was my house back in Revelstoke. I sold it to, about 10 years ago, and I've never looked back. Because home ownership, if you're not living in it, and even if you are living in it, as we see from Sarah, it can be a horror show. It's such a potential money pit. When I lived in that house, it was totally fine. But after, another 10 years of me living in there, then different people living in there, it's a sword hanging over your head. I hated being a landlord. It's a pain in the ass. right? Especially if you like, if you don't have money, you shouldn't be a landlord. If your rent is paying that month's bills for the house, that's not a position you should be in as a landlord. It's just not. And that's the position I was in, which is one of the reasons I sold. Because I had to take out a loan to do a bunch of shit. I had to get the roof replaced, all the windows done. I had some tenants who trashed the place, so I had to do that. And basically, from that point on, that money every month was enough to cover my loan payment, my insurance payment, and my property tax, with maybe $100 and the rental agent, and with $100 left over for my savings. And that's never a situation you should be in. If that's a situation you're in, you should get out, because if something big happens, you're fucked. And I can't tell you the number of landlords I see. I read a great book. I think it's called Evicted, Property and Profit in 20th Century America. And they basically just talked about this nonstop, which was like these people who buy homes as like investments, but they can barely make the payments so long as they have tenants. And that is such a financially dangerous situation to be in. It's no, don't do it.
Or drink Clamato.
Or, well, let's not go crazy here. I got to buy some one of these days. I haven't had it for so long. I'll send a picture of you. I'll cheers you with it.
Yep. There's not a day I will ever have that experience again in my future.
I don't know. When you come over, you got to drink one Caesar with me. No? No?
For you, maybe.
Okay. Well.
Depends. If Danny buys me one, definitely.
All right.
Try anything.
You heard him, Danny. World Cup 2026.
I'll celebrate England winning in America with a Caesar salad pint.
Just a Caesar. It's just a Caesar.
I'll have a Caesar salad on the side.
Okay, there we go. I was just imagining you trying to drink a whole salad.
I'll dress like Caesar and drink one whilst eating one.
I'm holding you to that.
Do it. Vini Vidi Vici.
But yeah, Sarah, I feel for you guys. That sucks. It's like I said, that's one of the reasons I sold the house. It was this constant fear of like, what if? I probably for 5 years afterwards, I would still have nightmares about there's something like catastrophically wrong with the house. Like I remember I had the chimney needed to be replaced, and thank God the dude who did it was understanding and let me basically give him I had about $2,000 up front, and then he let me pay off the rest in installments. But that was very lucky. And that was, to me, the signal like, okay, this is not a situation I can be in. I kept the house in case I fucked up Victoria and I had somewhere to go. But no, if you can't afford to ride out the many financial ups and downs of being a landlord, you should not be a landlord. You
should be a wrestler.
There you go.
My career tip for you.
Yeah, hey, that's free advice from Paul Bestel. Not at all what I would have expected. Well, while you all wrestle with the philosophical implications of exactly what the fuck he's talking about, we're going to take a quick break for some ads, and we'll be right back.
Our next message is from Anonymous, but I suspect it may be Adam West, and this will be Cleo now. Holy throwback Batman. It's the Premonition Dreamwriter. Yes, I still listen, and I'm a patron. But no, I've not got any better at condensing my thoughts, so I apologise. I'll try to keep it concise. Maybe. I think that I sent that message from an old email, so it might not be recognised. I still like to stay mostly anonymous, especially for the woo-woo stuff like this. And because I have family listeners. I was listening last week on my way to work when you started with the story, and I'll admit it took me about halfway through it to start going, hey, this sounds familiar. Oh, wait! I totally forgot I'd even written that. Funny synchronicity is that last month, August, the end of July, I started thinking about I hadn't had one of these dreams in at least a couple of years. It did seem that as I got older, they started to occur less and less. Though, to continue with my previous thoughts, back in 2020, I moved away from Vancouver. I felt like I was moving off a path. It was a rough ride, to say the least, but then I slotted onto the new path. Being in Vancouver always felt like I diverted, but was happy. Where I am now feels correct, but at the same time, something's always been off. I've often wondered if Vancouver was the new, but right path for my soul, and where I am now is the same path I've wandered previously. The comfort option. Anyway, love the show. Keep doing what you guys do.
Thank you, Anonymous. And of course, this patron, we very, very much recognize them. They've been, a member for a very, very long time. But as you say, I think it might have been from a different email address, which is why it wasn't as obvious. What do you think about that, Paul? This idea of life paths. Do you think there's something to that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's one of those things in life I think about quite a lot. Because my life has taken lots of varying twists, and I'm very good at choosing the option everybody goes, what the fuck are you doing? You know? Or
Right.
I'll walk away from things where people just don't understand it. And I've always been like that. And sometimes you wonder, what if I'd done it the way people wanted me to? What if I'd gone to college and got my A-levels at the right time? What if I'd gone to university at 18? Where would I be now? What would I be doing? Would I still be alive? What if I'd married that person? What if I'd taken that job? What if I'd moved there? And sometimes I think about it, and then I sit back and I think, well, yeah, I'm not rich financially, but I'm rich emotionally, I think. I've got incredible friends. I've got wonderful families. I've got things like this, spending time with you, my friend, having people write in because they seem to give a shit what I say about certain things. We have wonderful laughs. And you think sometimes that, well, this won't be happening now if I'd not had a mental breakdown. Was that meant to happen? And if so, should that have happened earlier? And what if I'd have done this earlier? Where would I be now? Would I be bigger than Jim Harold? Would I be Jim Harold? Would I be suing him for using my name? I don't know. And these are the questions we have to ask ourselves. But yes, it is something, whilst I may sound like I'm being quite flippant about it, I think about that and the choices in my past that I have made and where I am now. Would I give up what I've got now to follow the right path? And I have to be honest and say, yeah, it's been shit at times. It's been hard. And there's been times when I didn't think I'd get through it. But I have. And I'm still here. And I've got experiences and memories and friends that I wouldn't change for the world.
Yeah. I mean, I'm certainly glad you're here.
Thank you. I'm glad I am sometimes. Not this. I don't mean doing this.
Okay. All right. I get it. But damn.
Oh, he's got a fucking bucktail. Look at him go.
Yeah, I know. I've been thinking about that a lot myself, actually. And I don't know if that's just a function of kind of hitting my early 40s or what, but I was thinking about paths and how, for me, it's similar to you in that, like, I've walked away from stuff. I've kind of upended my life a number of times. You know, like I left Revelstoke and I had good friends there. I lived next door to my family. Everyone I knew and loved was like a 5-minute drive away. It wasn't like I didn't care about them. I love them very much and continue to, but I couldn't be in the place anymore. I knew that I'd kind of reached the end of the line there.
Yeah.
And then with Victoria, it's kind of the same thing. You know, like I've had, obviously Nick is still there and, we're still together, but like very comfortable life, very cheap apartment, cats, very walkable place. But the city has changed so much. It just doesn't, it's not feeding me anymore. It just kind of felt like, again, like I'm at an end. And so now I'm here, and there have been many different times when I could have just stopped and kind of settled. And yeah. And I haven't. And like you, sometimes I wonder, would it have been better if I had, if I'd gone to university, if I had known about my autism earlier and been able to kind of like understand it and channel it better so that I didn't have some of the experiences I had when I was a younger man. I decided to behave sometimes the way I behaved when I was a younger man because I was overwhelmed and didn't understand what was going on. It was like having, I don't know if you call it autistic burnout or whatever. And for years I thought I had a really bad temper, but I actually don't. I just have to watch my level of overstimulation. But yeah, so there are times where like, if, what would life have been like if I had figured that out earlier, or if that was more known earlier, shit like that. But as you say, I wouldn't be here right now. And I really like where I am right now.
Yeah. I balance it up with the people I have in my life at this point. And I wouldn't swap most of them for the world.
Yeah, same here.
A couple I could probably do without, but hey, there was a lot more of those types of people when I was a younger person. So I suppose it is what it is. But anyway, on a strange dream-related tangent, do you want to hear about the really weird dream I had and remembered the other day?
I do.
So I went on a bender around New York with David Byrne and David Bowie in 1982, apparently. And I've no idea why this happened in my head. I hadn't listened to any Bowie or Talking Heads or any of Byrne's solo work. I hadn't watched anything, read anything, seen anything. I just woke up in the morning and thought, why on earth have I had a dream about going out on the lash with the two Davids in early 80s New York City? It was a great dream. I had a great laugh. I didn't understand it. And David Byrne's a right cheeky monkey. He was so funny. He was always being silly. It was crazy. Just one of the strangest dreams I've ever had in my life. But when I woke up, I felt happy about it. It made me smile because it was just strange in a really good way. So yes, there you are.
You know, I'm usually pretty good at interpreting dreams. I have no idea what the fuck that means.
I know what it means. Too strong a bifter, too much river monsters. I think that was what it was.
Elwin says, hey, listening to the most recent mail show and Brennan mentioned his balcony pigeon problem. I thought I should share. My boyfriend's grandma also had a pigeon problem on her balcony, and they built a nest, laid multiple eggs. Once the first babies took flight, they laid more. It was a problem for the whole spring and summer last year, right into the fall. To truly picture this, you need to understand his grandma is a typical German grandma. She's always telling you stories, and my German is not that good. We went over for dinner one day last spring, and the only thing I was sure she said was lesbian pigeons, and I had to wait until our way home for him to explain. Despite these eggs being laid and becoming birds, his grandma is completely sure they are lesbians. She will even shoo away pigeons that are not her lesbian birds. Thank you for the nice podcast. Hope you enjoy the story. Elwin. Elwin, I love that. Thank you very much.
Well, why not?
Hey, I mean, Engelbert
Why
Humperdinck
not?
has a song called Lesbian Seagull. Why not Lesbian Pigeon?
Absolutely. And certain breeds of bird will mate for life. So obviously they can't. Well, I suppose technically they are related to dinosaurs, and we're not really sure how they reproduced. And we know lizards can self-germinate in extreme circumstances. I would not be surprised if we eventually discover that birds can make themselves fertile. Personally, I wouldn't. I think it's something that's not been studied enough. I wouldn't be surprised. Happens in fish, happens in lizards, you know. Where was I reading? It happened over here the other day. There was a lizard somewhere that's given birth. Female lizard here in the UK in a zoo somewhere. It's given birth. And it's never been impregnated by a male at all. So it happens.
Lizard Jesus. He is Lizen.
And whilst I've been talking about this, I am sure that somebody somewhere has suggested recently that birds can do it, but I can't remember it off the top of my head. But, so yeah, I mean, chickens do it, can't they? Because chickens can turn from chickens to roosters and vice versa.
Really?
I believe so. I've now said that, I'm going to check. The hen does not completely change into a rooster. So yes, there was a famous case here in the UK. This is from 15 years ago. A British couple were surprised to witness their pet hen Gertie gradually transforming into a rooster. No, this is not an April Fool's Day prank. Chickens really can undergo natural sex changes. The first sign that something was afoot with Gertie was when she stopped laying eggs. Next, she began strutting around their garden and crowing like a rooster. Over the next few weeks, they noticed that Gertie put on extra weight, developed wattles under her chin, a feature normally only exhibited by males. She also grew dark brown plumage, and a scarlet coxcomb grew upon her head, which are both male traits. We assured everybody this was true. We hadn't swapped it. And a report by the University of Florida in 2000 says, in birds, sex reversal does occur, although not very frequently. However, by that date, spontaneous sexual reversal from male to female has not been reported. So at the moment, only chickens can become hens. Only chickens can become roosters. Roosters cannot become hens. But it does happen. So there I have. I've just proved myself correct.
There we go. Also, I should point out that report was from Florida, and I have to imagine it's now been buried at the bottom of a salt mine.
All chickens have been cast out as sinful.
Trans chickens, well, we're not having that, says Florida.
They'll be reading books to children next.
How dare children learn from people who are committed to taking care of them and teaching them things? Boo.
What the fuck is wrong with them? Next up, April says, "It was so cool to hear you guys discuss Terry Pratchett. I still have my copy of the Discworld game for the PS1. I met some of the best people through Discworld. Back when I had iSpace.org and the Discworld boards, I got to participate in the mud with Mr. Terry himself. Plus, I had many a conversation against my will about falconry with the real Hodescar, Dave Hodges. When Hurricane Katrina hit, I lost most of my books, but the Discworld group got together and sent me all the novels, even some that were autographed. The best bunch of people I never met in person." No, that's lovely, April. Thank you.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that.
I'm glad to hear you got through Katrina. Goodness me, bless you.
Good, yeah, no kidding, man. Jesus.
But yeah, and the Pratchett fandom is a very open-minded and tolerant, probably one of the most in Nerdville, I would imagine, because that's where I like to call where we all live, Nerdville. I hope everybody else likes it. I don't care. That's where I'm calling it. And yeah, they've always been ahead of the curve. Terry and his family were forward-thinking, open-minded people, and his daughter continues to protect and cherish his legacy, and long may it continue. And I'm delighted to hear that you found that for yourself, April.
Amen to that. And we actually had a lot of people reach out about Terry. And the only one I could find on short notice was Brianna on Spotify. She said, "Hearing others talk about Pratchett and his genius warms my heart. But having accidentally stumbled into Pratchett and the Discworld via the Tiffany Aching books, I have to fully disagree with the dislike of the witches. Granny Weatherwax is my spirit. Granny Weatherwax is my spirit animal. Love you guys."
Hey, some people love her. Some people love Rincewind. I never took to either character, I have to say. But I still enjoyed the books.
Absolutely. I think it's the wonderful thing about Terry's stuff, about the Discworld books in general, is just that no matter what you're into, you will probably find something. If you've got light in your heart, you're going to find something in Discworld that appeals to you.
Yes, absolutely. And I was ashamed to have ignored them through perceived snobbery for too long. And then when I discovered it, it was like a well I couldn't stop drinking from.
All that matters is you get there in the end.
That's the story of my life, mate, as I've said to many a partner. Doesn't matter how we get there, we've got there. Well done.
We got there.
Somehow.
All right. Our last message for tonight is from David. David says, "So, I love the show, and as much as I may often disagree with you guys, I love and respect you. I need to say this. Thank you for being so open about mental health and getting help. I too suffer from anxiety and depression and see a therapist and am medicated. But I need to tell this story. My grandfather didn't have the care or medication he needed. He refused to share his depression. He refused to ask for help. He refused to go to a counselor. At 80, he was in very good health, but was watching his wife of over half a century fade into dementia. The depression was just too strong, and he told no one. I was in high school 8 hours away. Instead, he went out to his garage alone, shut the door, and got his shotgun. His pain ended by his own hand, and the pain of his children and his grandchildren began. Let me say to anybody listening, the world is better with you in it. Every human being has value, and every life is important. Suicide is not painless, and we need you alive. I don't care how bad it feels. I've hit bottom, and thank God I had friends and mental health professionals to help me. Let someone help you. Talk to someone. Take the pill. Whatever it takes, stay alive. You're worth it. I've always believed in what Catholics call purgatory, even when I was agnostic, and even when I didn't believe in much else. A place before moving on where a spirit needs help. I mean, how many stories on Ghost to Ghost with Art Bell describe this? I can hear Paul hesitating and shaking the paper as he reads this. Sorry for the pain that eye roll caused. But hear me out. And yes, Bren, I can hear your eyes roll when I say I chose to convert to Catholicism at 22. I don't know what I am now, but I know that I prayed for the dead. I know that I hadn't thought of Grandpa in years, but he showed up one night, years after we buried his body. He was almost glowing and smiling as I'd never seen him smile in the 17 years I knew him in life. Tell your mother I love her very much, he said, and faded away. Yes, I told Mom. But that doesn't change the pain of his death. Forget the Catholic stuff. It's an emotional ghost story. Even as my aunts fall into dementia, they wonder why their daddy did that to them. Suicide is not personal. So again, I beg anyone contemplating it, Get help. Make that call. Brennan will share the number. Anyway, if Paul reads this out, I can't thank you two enough, and I look forward to Paul's wisdom. Keep up the good work, guys.
Well, I think that's right for a lot of us. And being open and honest about it is something that we all can do more, even though we are very open and stuff. I mean, I've had a very tough year this year. Been very challenging. But I think sometimes you become so used to your self-medicating, especially if you consider yourself as someone that has dodged a bullet in these circumstances, that you become impervious to slipping that far back again. And that's not true. You just then realise that it is an issue, and it's always going to be an issue, and you've got to be able to deal with it constantly and not take your eye off the ball. So always do what's required. Always share how you feel. I have a wonderful group of friends. My family are fully aware. I'm very open about it. I work for an employer that's very progressive and positive about such things. People in my team have similar challenges. As I'm sure people remember, a member of my team took his own life 5 years ago and is still missed. And that's one of the worst things, because that for me was the most vivid realization of being one of my friends and looking at me, because you could see it coming. You knew it was going to happen, and we couldn't stop it. It didn't matter. It was going to happen. And we've had some strange conversations about this. Me and the other guy who it really affected in the team, Antoine, my French friend, because he's never had this. He doesn't have depression. He doesn't understand it. Well, he does understand it. I think that's being a bit. That's the wrong term of phrase, I think. He doesn't have a grasp on the concept of the damage people can do to themselves without saying a word, I think. And so for us, it was challenging, because I remember when it happened, and the first thing that came through my head was that something had happened to him, not Lee. And I felt awful. And then I found out what had happened, and I felt even worse. And so sometimes it can be very challenging, because, I mean, the strangest thing about this was none of us were given time off.
Oh, my God.
I mean, our manager basically said to everybody, if you want to go home, go home. So I did. Not because I just couldn't deal with it.
Yeah.
But then me personally, I wanted to get back in the saddle straight away. And so I came back in the following day. I mean, it's quite funny looking back, because 3 weeks later, none of us could leave the bloody house, even if we wanted to, because it happened just before COVID. So to be honest, that was also the other aspect of it all, because we all knew that he wouldn't have got through that at all. And that's because he had brief moments of lightness where he knew he could come out and go for a drink with people and get away from himself, I suspect. But when that opportunity wouldn't have been there, it would have been a matter of time, I would imagine. And, I would imagine there are thousands of stories like that from that particular first lockdown around the world, unfortunately. And they will often be the forgotten casualties of the pandemic, and we should not forget them. And so I think we all need to keep remembering that it is a struggle. It is constant. It gets better, but it never goes away. It comes in waves. So thank you for sharing that. And thank you for your honesty and your candor. And I hope we will continue to push the mental health agenda in a positive way for anyone that wants to help themselves and the people that love them. Because you might, I know from personal experience, you might not think anybody gives a shit, but you'll be amazed, actually. That was always the thing that struck me the most, was the ramifications of still being around afterwards, because I think that was even worse. Having to deal with people being really, really nice to me for ages. Not just because, but realising just how much I meant to more people than I even thought possible. So I hope that's some form of wisdom anyway.
So thank you, David. Again, that's I can't improve on anything Paul said there. So I'm just going to say thank you for writing in, and thank you for sharing that. It's important for people to hear that, especially now. The thing I really worry about, Paul, is I think we've become more accepting of people saying, I have depression or I have anxiety, but I don't think we've gotten any better at actually making space for it.
Correct.
Like, I think there's less stigma about me saying, oh man, I'm really depressed. Okay, great. Get back to work. And so that's the thing that worries me, especially going forward, is like, yeah, you're depressed. That sucks, but everyone's depressed. So deal with it. And like, yeah, that's not better. And so I hope that we can that's the next hurdle we can overcome, is not just recognizing that this is a thing and not being ashamed of it, but giving people the space to actually work on it, to make things like therapy more affordable, and
yes.
to more doctors, so it's easier to get seen, to get assessed for your medication, things like that.
Yeah. And somebody somewhere to stand up and say, why is the world we have created in this modern era, where we have all the resources at our fingertips and all the knowledge and all the infrastructure, are more and more people feeling shitter and shitter? What are we doing wrong? And once they suddenly realise what the answer to that problem is, I think a lot of us will feel a lot better about our place in the world.
I think so too. And that's another thing, is, as you say, has not been properly addressed, because the changes that would be required are massive and systemic, and would involve a certain amount of sacrifice in terms of productivity and money. Not as much as I think people assume, but, a little. And there are people who just do not want to let that happen. And what's even sadder, man, is that there's people who are suffering under the yoke of that thing, who are also fighting to keep it in place, because they have been so effectively propagandized. Actually, for instance, right now, the BC Government Employees Union is sort of slow walking a strike. They're kind of doing rolling strikes. And just last night, someone on the picket line was assaulted with bear spray for no reason. Just people who have decided that, well, I'm not getting paid more. Why should you get paid more? And they assaulted this person with bear spray. And that's insane. I mean, aside from
it's a shitty argument, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, no, I know. Everything sucks for me. So why should you be any better?
You should suffer too.
Yeah. Yeah. How about you improve your life, man?
And I'd just like to say, David, there was no eye rolling at all when we read your contribution out at all. So don't do yourself down. You give yourself away by things like that. And you're very true. Art Bell had countless stories like that. So good on you. And if it works for you and it makes you help make sense of the world around you, then good luck to you. More power to you, mate.
Couldn't agree more. Thanks again for writing in, David.
Just don't support the Cowboys.
It's all about the coaching. All right. Well, that's going to do it for this episode of Talk Spooky to Me. Thanks to everyone who wrote in, who commented, who on YouTube, Instagram, all those places, Spotify. Please keep doing that. Please, MySpace, yeah, all the places. Please keep doing that. Please keep telling your friends about the show. And we will do our best to read your comments and questions out here on the show. Again, our email address is ghoststoryguys@gmail.com. We are doing some listener story episodes for Halloween, so if you have a spooky story, whether your own or someone else's, please do send it in. Again, best place to do that is ghoststoryguys@gmail.com. Paul, my friend, where can everyone find you online?
You can find Mysteries and Monsters across most social media platforms and all good and somewhat indifferent podcast sites.
Fabulous. I'm Largely the Truth on Threads, Instagram, Blue Sky, and Letterboxd. And you'll find my horror fiction show, Fear Daily, everywhere fine podcasts live. And of course, it would hardly be an episode of Talk Spooky if we didn't play you a song. So this time around, we are pleased to present a returning guest. On behalf of our friends at Punkerton Records, we are proud to present another track from Stay the Course. This one is not only a great song, it is my favorite move when dealing with aggressive people in public spaces. It is called Pocket Sand. If you like what you hear, you can find more from Stay the Course everywhere you stream your tunes, or via the link in the show notes. And again, that's Stay the Course with Pocket Sand, courtesy of our friends over at Punkerton Records. Thanks as always for listening, folks. We will be back next week with episode number 225. But until then, we will leave you with Stay the Course and Pocket Sand.